Roblox Anime Tower Defense. When you first hear this word, you might think of anime vanguards, anime adventures. I don't know what else. I dropped this genre like a long time ago. Oh my god, I'm gonna tweak! But do any of you guys remember All-Star Tower Defense? I remember back in 2021 during lockdown, I would be playing this game non-stop, even during online class. What the f went wrong? How did a front page Roblox game fall off so bad? Well, today, all of that changes. Last night when I got home, I realized that the old developers of All-Star Tower Defense dropped All-Star Tower Defense X, something that they hyped up for months. Was this new game that they released really worth the hype, and did they finally revive the game for good? I know most of you guys watching this video have played the old All-Star before. Well, if you haven't and just stumbled across this video, let me just remind you what it was like. This game back in 2021, 2022, this game was ahead of its time. I don't really want to sound like I'm glazing it too much, but this game was actually good. A tower defense game, but with characters from every single anime you could think of. No game in history has ever done this before at the time. And they had a lot of characters. I'm not exaggerating when they say a lot of characters, like they even have a stall roll. But you get the idea. This was also the only proper Roblox game with a proper progression system that felt fun. Let's give examples of other Roblox games at the time. Blox Fruits and YBA. Oh, let's not talk about YBA. Blox Fruits was just a bandit beating simulator. You take a quest and just beat up some random lobotomized NPC that doesn't really fight back properly. Well, YBA has like one of the best storylines out of any video game in history. Even Yakuza 0 and Elden Ring couldn't even compete with YBA.
I'm joking, it was so fucking ass, and you had to do it 3 times. When you're done with the story, you would have to beat up a boss for like a few hours, or you basically can't fight anyone, and you'll just get molested by some of the world over heaven with boxing.
Now back to All-Star. This was the only Roblox game with an actual progression system, but what made it stand out compared to its competitors was the constant new maps, new enemies. It just made it much better than just beating up NPCs over and over again. It wasn't just one map as well. All-Star Tower Defense had nearly 100 story levels to level up, and this was the main way of progression in the game. There was no other method of progression as efficient as the story mode. I have a little bit of media illiteracy since all I watch is reels, but like I can tell some of what these maps are based off. If the levels were too hard, you could also leech off your high level friend, or progress together with your friend as well. Perfect game, right? What could possibly go wrong? Like I said earlier, this game has just too many units since they update it pretty frequently. So the devs soon added these limited time banners for 7-star characters, and that's when things got bad. Because back then, it went from 5 stars being the highest and 6 stars, and now they added 7 stars. At first, this was pretty revolutionary at the time, but if you're a Dragon Ball Legends player or a Genshin Impact player, you know exactly where this is going. The All-Star Tower Defense games were copying off these games, and what kind of games were these? Gacha games, gambling. They also added a new currency in this game called Stardust, and you could only get this currency from redeeming codes or just playing the game excessively. After you get the character, you would have to evolve it, and usually the evolution materials require characters from the most recent story, so it would require another 20 hours of gameplay. Or you could camp the fodder unit banner if you have a bunch of coins, which you can only get from playing a lost story. And that's not it, you would have to participate in a raid for these units required for the evolution. Why would anyone go through this? Because 7-star units are the best units in the game. There's one that can basically cheese story for you, and another just to brag to your friends how much damage you did in infinite mode, and to get a bunch of gems, which became useless after the Stardust update.
And some are just straight up dog shit.
They kept on doing this and kept adding more and more 7-stars, and the player base just got annoyed as they made certain raids harder, and it was clear the developer team was running out of ideas and all they cared about was money. That was the first thing that led to many players quitting fast, and now the final nail in the coffin, DMCA. They had to reskin half the characters in the game due to DMCA, since Anime Adventures got deleted because of copyright, and All-Star didn't want to risk this. This is where I quit, because none of the characters look like characters anymore. And this is probably when most players quit and moved on to other games. Well, that's until now. All-Star Tower Defense X has been released. Logging into this game for the first time, I have to admit I feel like my 2021 self again. They used the old BGM, and they use the same old Dragon Ball FighterZ inspired lobby map and progressing in story mode. I know it would be insulting to your intelligence if I told you simply the game just looks better. Here is what's different. New jump effects, you can slide now, more vibrant colors, satisfying UI and gameplay. Just looking at the old one and my visual cortex is already in severe pain. And now the NPCs for every single map actually talk now, with some sort of like Undertale talking sound. The only kind of problem is I wish that they kind of hyped this up more, because they only released one trailer. I mean, they do have a server with 1 million people, but dropping a game the same day of a Grow a Garden update was probably not the best move they could do. I mean, they did it a few hours before the Grow a Garden update, so this is probably when people were waiting for the update. And maybe this was all part of the dev team's plan, because this is when the most people are online on Roblox. Other than the improved UI, they also added a bunch of quality of life things, like how you can remotely upgrade and activate activities, compared to the last game, where you had to click on a tiny hitbox of a character to activate the ability. It just feels really up to date with current Roblox VFX standards as well. By standards, I'm talking about like the Azure latch and the hero's background animations. Get the fuck out, TSP. And I hope they don't fuck up again by adding a lot of game passes and gambling like last time. The only actual problems I see is there's a bunch of beginner bundles and game passes that you can buy. Like, what the fuck is a tie bundle? Like, are they in my walls or something? But now, here are the main problems of the new features, and probably the biggest ones. This game has a gambling problem as well. Yeah, they have shinies. And some characters also come with special effects, like stats for example, like tankier, or they do more damage. This is just so obvious at this point. They're trying to promote gambling, so people play more and spend more time on the game. And for some reason, there's an extra game pass called Extra Shiny Chances. You can't make this shit up, bro. For the stats I was talking about earlier, they also have a stat dice as well. So I guess that compensates for getting a shit stat from the banner you basically make. So that basically compensates if you get something shit from the banner. You can basically gamble to make them better. But still, I'm not happy with the gambling promotion. The thing that made the old game so special was that it was just so simple and easy to get into, and just very simple progression. Now there's just so much new stuff, and it just feels like there's too much going on, and there's literally no tutorial for all of this. They just decide the second you join in, you just have to figure everything out yourself, or just search up on YouTube, because that's the only option you have after this. For the gambling part, if Souls RNG and Grow a Garden got away with it, I assume this game will be just fine. And half of it just feels like I'm playing the same game. It's just up to date, refreshed and better. On release, they did about 200,000 concurrent players, which is actually pretty good. There's not much future insights of updates yet, but these developers are multi-millionaires. They probably know what they're doing since they've made a game popular once and they have the budget. I might actually start making videos on this game as well, since there's nothing to milk out the strongest battlegrounds anymore other than builds. That's about it. Thanks for watching.